Hello guys, you are welcome to my YouTube channel, Make Them Tech. Today we want to look at something very interesting, something very educative, titled A Simple Quiz App. No framework, just pure JavaScript. So we are in the days of React, Vue, Angular, and Co. But today we want to look at how we can build a simple quiz application with just vanilla JavaScript without using any of those things. So when we start, you see that we are going to be using something like import, export. These are features of a JavaScript EX6. So without any further ado, let's get started. So we have our index.html file, and the title of the application is Quiz App. We have the quiz, that's the H2 tag. I want to believe that we are familiar with HTML tags. And then we have the area that is going to be displaying our questions and our options. So that is what I have here. And then we have a continue button and a page number to display the number of our questions. So we want to add a script tag now, and that is so when you're adding the script tag, because we want to add just only one JavaScript file, and that's our app.js. You can see it here, but it's empty. There's nothing inside. So now, then we are going to, after putting your type, then you have to put type module, then you put your source, and that is JS app.js, and then we complete that. So now this will afford you the opportunity to use import and export functions. What we are talking about here is that the moment you reference a JavaScript file and then you put a type module, you'll be able to import functions from one particular JavaScript file to another, just as we have in React and in other SPA frameworks. So what we're talking about in the sense that you'll be able to, you don't need to reference all your files at once. So you can just use the type module here. And then you need to run your application on a server. If you are just doing normal plain browser stuff, it's not going to work. So if your application is running on the server, you will be accessible to the features of your module, that is the import and the export. So now I want to go to app.js now. Let's begin to write some things there. First of all, we need to prepare our questions too. So let's create a file called questions.js. So, and then that will give us, okay, that's a const questions. So we are going to give it an array, and then, so I have some I have prepared some questions here that we can use. Okay, so we have it here. So these are this is an array of objects in JavaScript. So we have the QUE as our question, then the OPT as the options. So we have here in total 5 questions. Now let me export this variable. We have a variable here called questions, and it's holding an array of objects. And in that object, we have our question and options. So now export defaults, that's the questions. Yeah, so that's fine. Let's do that now. Let's go here. So here now we can import our questions directly, import questions from questions.js. So that's it. Then, so let's get some things like our questions display. So we have a document dot, should we use get element ID or we should use a query selector? Which one is more? Okay, let's use query selector. Okay, so we have questions displayed. Okay, so then that's from our index.html. So what I'm actually doing is I'm actually getting this ID, and I also get this. So we'll be getting that of continue and that of page number. So let's continue with that in that same order options. So instead of being like this, let me just make it for 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now let me cancel this. So this is this. So I sometimes enjoy using writing my code this way. So that's options. Okay, so then we have continue button, continue button, continue button. Then we have the page number. Okay, so that's that. So we have the continue button, options, display, question. Okay, so that's cool. So when we were, so now so because in our application, we'll be needing what is called you need to be moving from one question to another. And in JavaScript, our array is 0 indexed. So meaning the first question is going to have an index of 0. Then from there we move. So let's declare some variable that will be reassigned later, as in that can be reassigned, something like that. So then the person will need to pick an answer. Okay, so let's make that one an empty string, and then we need to give a variable that we handle the score of the user. So I think we are okay now. So now one of the things we need to do is so now I can do something like saying questions display dot inner HTML is equal to questions. So this question that we have just imported. So then the count at this time is what? 0. Then QE. So this is question when you want to get the content of an array. Array is indexed. So if I put questions and then I put this square bracket and I put 0 inside, it's going to pick this guy. If I put 1, it's going to pick this in that order. So now this count is going to be 0 and then dot Q, because inside that object we have QUE and also OPT. Then the next thing is the options too. So let's get that of options. Options display dot inner HTML is equal to. So here now we need a function that is going to be okay. So at this point, let's just put it like this. We'll come to that. And then the page number. So let's get to page number dot inner HTML is equal to. So for this one now, we need to be able to get the exact number of the question as against the total question. So what I mean is that let's put this string literal here. Then we have okay, count now. So if I put ordinary count here, it's going to give me 0. So I have to add 1 to it to make it 1. So that's off. Then the total question, the total number of the questions. So we have it to be questions dot length. So this is what we have here. And then, so with this now, let's even see what this gives us in our code. Okay, sorry, I need to serve, okay, sorry, I'm coming. So we need to serve this index.html on our server. So you can write your own node server here and serve this whole thing on the server, or use VS Code Live Server. So I'm using VS Code Live Server now. Okay, so you can see now. Now, the first question comes up. That's how many continents are in the world. So that's it. So you can see this is the question. Okay, so then we have the index.html. So everything is displayed here. So for the options, we are going to handle that later. Then for the page number, it's telling us what? If you look at it now, so that's 1 of 5. Okay, so that's what we have here. Now let's proceed. Now for the continue button, let's try and create an action for that. So continue button dot add event listener. So we have click. So when it is clicked, then you have function. Okay, so for this now, okay, so we need to, first of all, okay, so what we are going to do is that let's check to see if our question loads. And so count, that is plus is equal to 1. Okay, so then the question display, now I want to reassign the questions again. That is inner.html is equal to, okay, so let me just bring the whole of this. Okay, so questions, that is .que. Okay, so and then for our page number, we are going to also replicate same. Okay, so then the answer. Okay, so let's start with this. Let's see what happens at this point. Okay, so automatically this thing would have refreshed. So I would like to open this by the site, my developer's console. Okay, so I can monitor what is going on. Okay, so here and I can click continue 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I increase it more now, it's going to give me an undefined something. You can see it's telling me cannot read property key of undefined. Okay, so we are cool. We are okay. So now let's proceed. Now for the options now, you know, we want to create a scenario whereby the user can see different options. You know, these options now, if I'm displaying it the way it is here, it's because what I did here is that all the correct answers, as in the correct option here, is the first one. So meaning 7 is the answer, China is the answer, Abuja is the answer, Thomas Edison is the answer. So all correct answers are made as the first element of the array. So it means that we need to look for a way to scatter the content of this array. So all the elements needs to come in different order so that the user will not be seeing something that, okay, now you now describe that everything is following the same pattern, then it picks in. So I don't want to be adding another difference of saying the answer here is this. I just want to use the first element as my answer. So how do we go about this? Now let's create another JavaScript file called options.js. So here now we're going to be doing a lot of manipulation. So what we want to first of all write, I want to write a function that can scatter the content of an array. So that's scatter, I'll call it scatter. And then, so OPT, that is going to accept an argument that is the options. So we are going to feed this function with an array. Yeah. So now let's our array be equal to, so we want to actually, so here now we're going to be putting some things inside this thing for that. So let's write a function called function role. So we are going to be using closure here. So notice we are talking about JavaScript, which is a very good programming language for functional programming. So let's call this one random. So we're going to be generating a kind of random numbers that we can use to scatter the content of an array. So now let's put random. So the floor is to round it up. So because it's going to be giving us some 0 point something. So then times the length of that thing so that the figure can be more. So if we are doing like this, we can just be getting just 1 or so. Once a reasonable figure whereby we'll be able to get 1, we'll be able to get 2, we'll be able to get 0. So up to the length of that array. So that's why we are doing this. So this is actually an algorithm thing. And then we have array index of, so you have index of this guy, OPT, random. That's okay, yes, equal to -1. That is, -1 means when you use index of something and it returns -1, it means that it's not found in that thing. So that is what it means. So array.push, that is opt, that is random, sorry, random. Okay. So random means that it's going to use the number generated at this point get the array that is coming, that is the input opt, and send it. So, and that is that. So we have return row. So return row means I want to, this recursion, I want to record this thing after doing this. Yes. So I want to record this after doing this. So what happens is that if this is found, then we want to put an else statement here saying if the array.length is not equal to the length of the array that is being fed into this function, then it should also roll this function again. So we call it roll. So just like more like you are rolling a dice, you are generating different numbers, and then you want to insert something to something. So this will make us have different elements being inserted here at no randomly. So I'll just be picking them randomly. So when you feed an array, yeah, if you put maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, and you are running this roll function, I can just go and pick 3 and put it. Then later I can pick 1 and put it. I'll just be putting it in there. So that's that. And this function needs to run first. Yeah. So that yes, roll. And then we return finally the array that is being generated, array. Okay, so that's cool. So I think this function works. The next thing is to write another function called function options itself. Options, okay, let me just use function definition at this point. So now see. So now while we are doing this, let's say something is output. Okay, so then we have let's say const. Now let's say scattered options. So scattered options, we have scatter. So we are calling that function now, and then opt. So the opt we are putting here is, so we are going to use this function to collect the array of questions. So yes, the array of the options of a particular question. So we're going to feed it into this function. Then this function will further feed it into this other function. So this is actually the demonstration of the power of functional programming, which JavaScript gives to us or makes us to be able to do. So now we want to look through that array that we have just scattered and then display our questions. So we have, display our options, less than scattered options. So dot length. Okay, so instead of even using, let me just use for let I of scattered options. Okay, so so now this will give us, so now our output, now we need to, so we'll just be adding it to our input. So now if you want to write we want to write a radio button, and then the options will be in front. So we can write it from here directly into the DOM. So that's the way we can do that. So we are just using our string literal at this point. So we want to put this opt. Okay, so this C means the number of that question. So we need to put name. So when you have a radio button having the same name all through, so that means you'll be able to navigate from one to another without having two checked radio button. So that's why we are doing that at this point. So we have radio, and then what else do we need to add to this guy? Okay, sorry, yes. So now the ID now in this case, so the ID is going to be exactly the question. I mean, sorry, the option here. Yeah. So now I'm going to be saying scattered. So each option is going to, we are going to be assigning to the ID of that radio button, so that when it is clean, we can get the ID out and compare. So we have scattered option. So scattered option. Also, so no, sorry, we have I, or what should I even put? I should just even say let's, so that to be descriptive. Let's option of scattered option. Yeah, I think this is okay. So let it be here like this. Yeah. And then what else are we going to add? Okay. So now let's put label. So the name of that stuff, label. Okay. Okay, so and that gives us I hope there is no mistake. Okay, so yes, we are going to put the name of the option here. So the option is going to be option. And then lastly, so that this thing will not be tied together. So we want to break it like this. So I want to believe this should give us a radio button with the name. So as options. So we want to proceed now to so we need to return this output. It's going to be an array also. Okay, no, it's not going to be an array. So it's going to be a kind of string. Yeah, so all the string would have been tied together and then we display them. So return output. So we are going to export this function, and that is this default, that is options. So we are good to go. So I want to believe this works. So let's go back again. Okay, there are errors we'll try and fix. Then let's go back to our app.js. So in our app.js now, we want to add some things back to it. So first of all, this option.display doesn't management. So here now we're going to import. So first of all, we're going to be importing our options. Yeah. So import options from options.js. Okay, so now our option is a function. So options. So now we are going to feed in questions. So the question is still going to be count. Okay, just this one. I'm just going to feed this like this. Yeah, like this. But this time around, it's going to be OPT because so we are feeding directly this array into this. So when it gets to this function, the function knows how to deal with it. Okay, so now we need to, so for us to get that at first, so let's try to see something. Let's see if it works. Okay, can we see it's working? Now, this is 6857. This is 6857. Okay, let's just see 6 and 8. We have 6, 8 here now. This is the two, this number 1, number 2. So let's refresh if you are going to find it there again. Can we see it has changed? So we are now have 7, 6. So now there is a kind of scattering operation that is actually working on this guy. Okay, so now how do we proceed from here now? The same thing is applicable to, let's go and add this to our continue button too. So that is missing here. So if I still come here like this, refresh my page, and then I continue, and you see it's giving me everything. So that's it. So now let's go back. So now we want to proceed to, because there's a way we should be able to click the application. I mean, click an option and then validate if what the person has clicked is correct or not. So how do we go about that? So let's bring in a kind of function like this called const get options. So this is okay. So this is, so now const input. You know, we're actually using input. That's our radio button is an input element. So document dot, okay, say query selector all. Yeah. So input. So this will give us all the inputs that we have. So actually we're going to be having 4 inputs. So and still I can loop over all the options. So let's option of inputs. Yeah. So let's okay, so that will be option. So now, anytime any of the option is clicked, I can get something from it. So that is click, and that is function. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So what do we need to do at this point? So first of all, let's say console.log e.target.id. So for some of us that have been using JavaScript, you understand this targets, the property that comes with this event listener. Okay, so let's go to our browser and let's see. So if I click this now, what do I have? 6. Okay, sorry, I'm not actually. So this option, this guy needs to be fired. So it is when it is fired. Now I've not actually fired it. So okay, so what would that be now? Okay, so if I put it in a continue button here, okay, let me even call it at this point. Let me call it here. That is get options. Yeah. Even if I call, because we need to even call it first before we can also call it in the continue button, because it will only run once. So we need to keep calling it to rearrange, I mean, to keep getting the new population that we have. Yes, the new options that we will be having as we move from one question to another. Okay, so here now we have 5. Okay, so I guess something is okay. So I'm coming. Get options. So this is what. Okay, sorry, this option. Okay, so in our options here, we have 2 arguments. So we have actually not passed the second stuff. Oh, wow. So, okay, so that's going to be count here. So we're going to pass count here. So then, okay, 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 so. Okay. Okay, so I'm supposed, so now, oh, so I'm supposed to call the function after our HTML, our inner HTML, our HTML page has been populated with options. Okay, okay, so, okay, we have that. We can see it here now. Okay. Okay, so we are going to be, so if I do like this, so it's telling me 5. 6. Okay, so that means we can actually get them. So now we are going to put the answer selected by the option selected by the user. We are going to assign it to this variable called answer. So that's answer is equal to e.target.id. e.target.id. So then the next thing we're going to be doing is, okay, so we are going to, so what we are going to do is we are going to ensure that the user actually clicks a particular option before the person can be allowed to continue. So now it is when our answer has something, that's when, so that's what we're going to be doing. Okay, so yes, so that's if answer, that's when the person will be scored. Okay, so now we're going to write something like saying if answer is equal to, so we are now getting our questions now, questions, then our counts, then dot opt. So the first element of this array is our correct answer. So once that is true, then we're going to increase our score from 0 to 1, and then we keep increasing by 1. Okay, so then the next one is if our count is equal to our questions dot length. So we want the final question that comes out to carry a button with the name finish. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So this will actually make it happen. This code, that is this inner HTML is equal to finish. And then the last thing we're going to conditionalize. Now, if our score, so if our score, let's say this if count, sorry, if count is equal to questions dot length. That's 1. Okay, so here now we can alert the person's score here. So that's going to be 4 as yeah, we allow the person score. So you can write this code and bring in different things, your CSS, the way you want your score to be displayed. And it's just a simple quiz application. So now what we have here now, let's bring it here. Okay, so we have it here. So that is count. Okay, so count plus 1, this. So then the next thing is our answer. So what's our answer? Our answer is, so we need to take the answer, we need to always turn it to an empty string so that we will be able to use it to validate the next question that comes out. Okay. Yes, so I think that's how we can solve this. So now with this now, we can, so now in case the person has not picked an answer or an option, then he wants to proceed, we can allow the person to pick your answer. So okay, so I think our application is ready. So let's what test that one now. So pick your answer. So if we pick 7, then we continue. Then we pick China. Those are the correct answers. Then we have Abuja. We have Thomas Edison. Then the largest question is then finish. So the person has 5. So that's that. So now let's say instead of picking 7, which that we have 7 continents in the world, let's say I pick 6, I'll be able to continue still. Instead of saying China, let's say I'm picking Nigeria, continue. Here now, let's say I'm okay, I know, okay, let's say I know this question correctly, that's Abuja. And let's say I know that of Thomas Edison. Then the last one, let's say, okay, I picked Atlantic Ocean and I click finish. I'm going to score just 2. So, and then this brings us to the end of the tutorial. If there are questions, please, you can ask me in the comment section. I will be willing to attend to your questions. So this is a simple quiz application using pure JavaScript, no framework, nothing, and it's so simple to do. And we are still able to use our import and export feature of JavaScript. And we don't forget, you reference your file and you put your type to be module here. The type is the attribute and the value is module. And then you have stuff like this, and then your application must run on the server so that you have all the features that this module brings to the table. So this brings us to the end of the tutorial. Please, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do, and then also click on the notification bell so that when we have a new video you can be notified. Thank you, and I'm going to see you on the next one.